Hey folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer. I'm right over there. That guy, that much older guy right over there is John, your resident millennial. John, how are you doing this evening, sir?
As you said, I am actually a whole year older than I was the last time we had a show. It's insane.
A whole year plus, because
Oh
it's
wait,
been,
no, whole year plus 2 days, I guess.
yeah, you can just say
Monday's
plus.
show, I
You
suppose.
can just say plus. You're old enough to stop counting, making it so microcosm. Now that
Yeah,
you're
yeah, I
now
just
that
meant.
you're past 30, the most rounding you want to do is like at 10 months, 11 months.
Yeah,
Right? It's like,
coming up on 40.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I'm gonna say.
don't get specific until it's like no, I'm not 50 for another month. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
I'm not 50 yet. Shut up.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
We got a couple of folks in the house tonight. I see Saint out there. I see Random Randy. I also see
So
Yama Fago in there. How you folks
that
doing
was from
tonight?
Discord. That
Hey,
was me
yeah,
from Discord, bruh.
yeah. Speaking of Discord, I've got us set up to where our chat is now streaming into Discord down in the live show chat channel. So if you happen to, if it's easier, if you happen to be in Discord and you want to jump back into the chat real quick or whatever the case may be, there's another avenue for your fingers to fly. But of course, got you over there on D. Is anybody on D Live right tonight? I see one person on D Live, but that might just be you, right, John?
Uh, I don't see anybody on. No, no. Yeah, no one's on D Live.
Randy
Oh, yeah,
says,
that might just be me. Yeah,
Ra-
over on D Live.
Random Randy says that you strike him as a half birthday kind of guy.
I'm not. I'm not really like
I
that.
could see it. I could see it.
Maybe.
It depends on how much you've had to drink. I think. I
I mean,
think.
when I was like 6, yeah, I'd be like, I'm 6.5. Sure, I would have did that. Yeah, like everyone else did.
So,
Yeah.
so have you had any life revelations after having accomplished this first year past 30?
No, just all I had was a steak. I had a steak, a really good steak. To be fair,
Was it really, John? Was it?
was
Was it really?
was was.
I mean, did you go out and hunt that cow down yourself
I did not. No,
and
I hired someone else to do it for me.
and butcher that beef yourself? I
Nope.
mean, that's when you know it's a good steak.
I
You
would.
can
Uh,
do what?
I would just fuck it up. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to, I mean, yeah. So no, no, no. What you're talking about right now is labor theory of value, right? The fact
Is,
that you put your own labor into it gives it more value. But that's not the case though, because if you fuck it up, obviously the value becomes zero. So
oh,
no.
why? So then that lends the question: why would you fuck it up? Don't fuck it up.
Well, not on purpose, obviously.
Well,
Just through lack
don't
of
fuck.
skill and experience.
Ah, psst. You know, I mean, when it's all said and done, John, cutting a hunk of beef off of a dead animal is pretty fucking easy. I
No,
mean,
I'm sure it is.
we use most of it, so there's really, you just slice some off and you're ready to go. I mean, pick a muscle,
Yeah, there's
cut it.
that. You
Every
gotta
one of them is used for something, so you're not going to screw up. I mean,
Well, you can screw up cooking it, you can screw up all kinds of, there's all kinds of ways to screw up along the way.
now, John,
And
if
I'll
you're
find one of them.
if you're
Watch,
cooking
you just fucking watch, I'll do it.
if you got yourself a beautiful steak sitting right there that you did all of that and you got it in your hand, are you seriously not going to make sure that you put the extra effort into cooking it so that it comes out
Oh, yeah,
just
of course, I'm gonna try.
perfect? Oh,
Try. Doesn't mean I'm gonna succeed though.
John, we got to work on your confidence level. It's got to be no. Me kill steak, me cook steak, me eat steak, steak
Me
good.
kill, me kill steak.
Right? I mean, let's, you gotta, that's all there is to it, bro. It's, yeah, I got this. I got this. No problem. No problem. Yeah, the best
Yeah,
steak ever.
ever.
Hey, I got to ask you about something. I want your
Oh
opinion on
shit.
this, because
No.
lots of people out there are giving their opinion on it. And I'm sure you maybe have heard about this. Do you agree or disagree with a state senator or a state representative leaving the state in the middle of a winter crisis emergency to go to Cancun.
So hang on 1 second. We have a little bit of issue over on D Live. I guess if we refresh, it's fine. But also, guys, before I'm going to answer that question in just a moment. But just remember, guys, over on D Live, I'm opening the chest tonight
Yes, yes.
at the end of the show.
Opening
So
a
if you
chest.
get your donations in, now is a great time. So it's throughout the rest of the show, and we're going to give a special shout out to Elephant Man, who's been just hucking money at us constantly for a while now. So yeah, thanks a lot. That's pretty awesome. Means a lot to us.
Yeah,
Thank you for your support. That's freaking cool, man.
it
'Cause we
makes.
actually did the math on how much we have in the bank at the moment. And by the bank, I mean the D Live bank. And it's it's not a small amount
It's nothing
for
to
us, for our
scoff at.
size,
It ain't nothing to
Right.
scoff at. There will be no scoffing here.
That's right.
No scoffing here.
That's right. So thank you, Elephant Man. Yeah,
In
if you're out
these
there.
in these challenging times,
That's right.
there
In these
will be
unprecedented times.
there will be no scoffing at that
That's
moment.
right. That's right. So anyway, yes, Ted Cruz deciding to go on vacation, which I don't believe him in his story of like, oh, I was just going there to,
Oh,
yeah. So either way, I don't think it matters. No, hang on, I don't think it matters. Now, if he was the governor, I think that would be a different story. But he's a senator, I believe. Yes, he's a senator. Like he has nothing to do with what's going on in Texas. He has
what?
nothing to do with helping them, you know, get everything right. I get that, yeah, maybe it might not look the best, but I mean, come on, dude. Like,
Well,
don't give me that shit.
well. Let me do this real quick. I see Ed in the house. He says, "Discord. What about the tube from the Levant?" Am I saying that? I gotta not read his
No,
chats.
I think you're fine there.
Randy says, I'm perfectly fine with Senator Cruz taking a planned vacation. My problem is any of these taking exotic vacations during a period of time when their rulers are the rulers are there's going to be more to that. Keep your eyes
Oh
open.
yeah,
Oh, no. He's are telling us to stay home and inside. It came through
right.
on Trova. Got cut off on the restart.
Yeah, cut off on
Okay,
your stream.
so for anybody that doesn't know, if you've been living inside a box, good to see you, Wyatt. I see Wyatt over there. Boom, boom,
Yes,
boom.
Wyatt,
Over
what's
there,
up?
boop, boop, boop. But anyway, so Ted Cruz booked a vacation for his family to go down to Cancun. When he was at the airport, he was photographed by a couple of different people. It went viral on Twitter. When asked about it, he initially said that his daughters had some friends down in Cancun. They called and said they wanted to go, and he said he was going to fly them down there and come back. However, he didn't count on somebody looking into the flight records and finding out that he actually had a longer stay expected, and then at the last minute, after he touched the ground, he turned around and shortened it and decided to come back. Then he gets on camera and says that he started rethinking his decision after the plane took off, and we could paraphrase and insert there after he found out that he was going
After he
viral
got
on
caught.
Twitter.
Right, which is so ridiculous in the first place. He fucked up, but not by going, but by like
Lying.
changing his decision and then lying about it.
Right.
He should have just gone there and done the thing.
And then
Like, because I mean, it's not like they're gonna forgive you or something. You're not gonna get away with that, and they're not gonna forgive you. So might as well just do the crime
right.
because they're gonna act like you did it anyway.
Now
So who gives a fuck?
Now
Cares?
we can agree that the governor of the state plays a larger role in coordinating emergency situations and stuff like this. However, it is on the any representative's job out of Texas to be either in the state or or the mindset is to either be in the state or be in Washington, helping ease the process of getting emergency funding to the state. as is needed if it's a
Hmm.
federal emergency, et cetera, et cetera. He should be there helping grease the wheels, helping move things
Whatever.
along between the governor, like a liaison, as it were. This
Right,
is an
right.
expectation because this is what other
Sure.
senators have done in the past.
Sure.
But then to just rub some salt in the wound, fucking Beto O'Rourke, his competitor, and AOC are manning phone lines and helping do this, that, and the other to get people to resources they need and this, that, and the other while he's going down to Cancun. So he fucked up by, he should have just said, you know what? I could do my job from Cancun.
Right.
I could be on the phone talking to people, getting things done from Cancun, and get my children and so away from this. I should
Yeah.
stay there and suffer with, in that,
Well,
or take my family
I
away.
can see why
If
people would say
anybody that had the opportunity to take their family away, what would they do?
of course.
Right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like it doesn't matter what he says. He shouldn't have even acknowledged it. That's the thing, because if no matter what he says, it's not like they're ever going to give him a fair, you know, um, like perspective, or they're not going to like
Right.
give him like a charitable interpretation of the things that he says, like ever.
Well,
So
he
he
did
should
have
just
the he had the audacity to take Trump's side.
well, yeah, exactly. So he's persona non grata anyway. He's not going to do anything. He's never going to do anything good. He is actually the new Trump, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've directed a lot of their Trump hate towards Ted Cruz.
Oh
Like
yes,
he's kind of the new
definitely.
lightning rod. And
I
I think that's because he's going to be running for in 2024.
I don't
I think
know.
he's being groomed for running for 2024.
Not if he keeps making gaffes like this.
Well, but that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. He's not making gaffes necessarily. It's that these little things are being twisted and then blown up into
Well,
ridiculous proportions
here's the
because of
thing.
that exact thing.
Well, here's the gaff I'm talking about. Is underestimating the power of public information.
Hmm.
You don't come out with a story first off that you were just escorting your kids down there and planning on coming back when
Right,
there's a paper trail of you changing the flight to come back.
right, right.
Don't
Of
tell the
course,
lie because the gaff is
right,
in the lie because you underestimate the power of the people.
right.
That's
And so no, I mean
foolish.
that's 100%. That's 100% true. And he was absolutely wrong for doing that. He should, like I said, he should have just not said anything and gone about his vacation.
And
And it would
that's
have been
what
like a day or two of articles of like, Ted Cruz went to Cancun. What an asshole. Then that would be it. There would be nothing further to perpetuate
right.
that that gaff, uh, you know, any further than like a day or two.
Well, we call it a lapse of judgment. We could call it that. But when it's all said and done, if he continues to do things like that, they're not going to have faith in putting him forward as a candidate. I don't
I don't
believe.
know. A lot of people like him. I mean, he's already come back from being a booger on live TV. Like he's come back from that. No one remembers that. No one remembers. Even the left doesn't remember that.
Well,
I remember that,
I
but the
mean,
left doesn't remember that.
I remember that, but
Like,
that wasn't as big a deal as a guy named Wiener sending pictures of his wiener. That was
well, that's true.
right.
Yeah,
That's a bigger deal to me
yeah.
than a guy picking his nose. Hell, I see that every day driving down the street. Somebody,
Well,
right?
he didn't pick his nose. He ate it. He didn't just pick it. He ate it. Well, I mean, to be fair though, it was like on his lip and he sucked it in.
No,
Gross.
one never knows the nutritional value of something like that at the time. Over in the chat, Wyatt says, "Yo, yeah, what is yes?" He says
Says
also the building
yes.
has lost water pressure and I haven't had a shower for 4 days. Oh, uh,
Good, grody, dude.
technically, if he flies there and never comes back, he flew there and back, right?
And
uh,
ever comes back, not ever. Yeah.
and never comes. Okay. I had to move out of Trova because you addressed my comment. My phone was getting a gobbled stream.
Couple, couple,
Yeah,
couple,
turkeys. There's turkeys like
couple.
turkey lurkeys. He
Yeah.
should have either been embarrassed that he was caught traveling or not cared at all. The
Right.
circumstances of his vacation during a pandemic are null. It's the vacation itself. Right. And that's the
Right.
thing. You shouldn't have come out and been contrite and embarrassed about having done it after you made up a story, too. Then you should have
Shouldn't
just,
have even made up the story.
oh, you,
Just nothing.
right. I
Just
mean,
don't even acknowledge that anyone said anything. You
mistake
can't.
compounding mistake.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
no, Ed, he didn't mean that, and I'm not going to say it. Saint says saw him on Crowder show and wasn't impressed with his election answers. Randy says that is what I meant. I almost typed, but I knew that
Garbled.
wasn't right.
That is what
You
it
guys
is.
stop trying
Yeah.
to get me to say things that is going to get John kicked off the air. He's your
Right.
he's your friend.
Yeah,
Crowd,
guys.
Crowder said he was going to be tough on him, and that was some softball shit on the non-mug club side. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's that kind of thing. That's like, that's a weakness that I don't know that a party wants in a candidate, and especially whenever he gets shown up. If AOC wasn't involved, it's like, here's
See, that's the
Democrats coming
thing.
to the rescue. While, oh, they probably found,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, that's the
capitalized.
thing is Ted Cruz is kind of old school when it comes to politics. He's not as good as Trump was at, fucking with the media or fucking with other politicians and coming out, either looking really good to the right people and looking bad, obviously to the people who are going to make him look bad either way. You know what I mean? Trump was really good at looking good to the right people at any
Right.
given time. And Ted Cruz doesn't really have that. He does have, I guess, like the sound bites. Like he's really good at the sound bite clips. Really really good at those. And he has some good answers when it comes to those. But I don't know. He's incredibly popular though. I mean, the reason why the left keeps going after him constantly. It's been him and DeSantis, interestingly enough. Which I don't think DeSantis would move to president after only one term of governor. Or no, this is his second term of governor? No,
I can't.
he was just elected 2 years ago, right?
I
So,
think
or
so.
a year ago, technically. Uh, yeah, it'll be this coming one will be the end of his first term, technically, right?
I
This
believe
coming
so. I
term.
believe so.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, so yeah, I don't think he's gonna be ready for a presidential run by then. I think it's gonna be Cruz. It's gonna be the golden boy
Right.
2024.
Well, it'll be interesting to see because I don't. I can honestly say I don't think he's going to have what it takes to. I
Well,
can't take him seriously when he talks. I get such a car salesman vibe from him.
well,
It's
people, sorry, people said the same thing about Trump. So
no, from Trump it was never a car
he,
salesman. It
it
was
was
it
well,
was
no,
more
but
Don boss, right? It was more that boss, that
no,
mafioso
it was
crime
more
lord.
like they thought when he first started running, right? The media was joking about it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He's just he's running for clout or whatever, publicity, that sort of thing, and then he fucking won.
yeah. um,
So what I'm saying is like it's tough to make predictions, and I wouldn't count anybody out.
Well, that he serves as a good segue to what we've been wanting to talk about tonight, especially from the standpoint of I told you I mentioned this on the show that I've kind of rethought some of the policy decisions, some of the things that Trump was doing, and what the implications of his actions in office might have been in the overall grand scheme of what we're going to talk about tonight. Um, and what it is it started back in 1996, 97, when they put together Agenda 21. It's called Agenda 21, and it
Hmm.
was out of it was the United Nations put this together. And it was 100 and over 178 countries at the time. Actually, it dates back all the way to 1992. Some of the things that started with Agenda 21, but this was a concerted effort to basically kickstart environmental change, making the world a better place, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you know, kind of that utopian mindset, global initiatives that would improve the life and of every human on the planet, as it were, by saving the environment and finding equitable life for everyone. Yeah, it's
Yep.
kind of weird goals, but I think the timing of when this went into place, is something. Let me back up for a second before we say anything else. I want to say this: we are in no way supporting or um, uh, siding with, agreeing, or promoting any conspiracy theories or ideas or considerations about this. Our We want to talk about it. I've wanted to talk about it with John. I want to look at implications from an economic standpoint. What this is doing, because this is something that's been going on and is even more so now going on. That is a global initiative, and I am trying to understand how our national politics, our national policies are playing into this, especially when it comes to our financial status and our social status as a country itself. But anyway, so no endorsements from us in any way, shape, or form in that vein. We're just talking about it, right?
Yeah, or any other vein. I don't endorse or condone anything at all whatsoever. Nothing.
Except Slain,
Nope. Not
Slain
even then.
whiskey, no, or
Nope.
no.
It is whiskey, but no.
If they would pay you,
I
you
don't. I
would
don't.
endorse them,
I
right?
actually I've already endorsed them for free, but and I would continue to do so. It is a really good company. Really fucking good. It's so delicious. You have no idea, guys.
But
Guys.
yes, so Agenda 21 is a comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations system, governments, and major groups in every area in which humans
You
impact on the environment.
should share your screen for
Should
us.
I? Should I share
Yeah.
this?
So we can read along with you. I gotta put my finger to
I don't have
read.
a bouncing ball, but I could
Very
share it.
unfortunate.
Well, I mean, I could invest in one, but that'll cost like 50 cents a day for using it.
Oh yeah, that's horrible.
Um, but so yeah, so this, like I said, it dates back to 1992. The actual initiative really moved forward in 1997 by the United Nations General Assembly. Now, bearing in mind that this started back in the late 90s, it didn't go as well as they had planned for it to. They were very
Right.
far off track for this. So in 2015, they met again, and here it is. They got together in 2015 and introduced the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Now, understand that when they put this and when they moved forward, this was basically advancing 17 principles. This agenda is a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. People, planet, and prosperity. It also seeks to strengthen universal peace in larger freedom. We recognize that eradicating poverty in all its forms and dimensions, including extreme poverty, is the greatest global challenge and an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. Um, there's more, as you can see it right there, but there are basically 17 goals that have 169 targets in this thing, and understand that this is a very very aggressive plan, and set to have, they're saying, okay, we want to wrap and get this at a a sustainable place in 15 years time. Now, I mean, when you start to look at the scope of it, John, I mean, doesn't that require some pretty radical things to happen to
Such as a pandemic.
now hold on.
I'm just
I wasn't
I'm just
going there yet.
I'm just asking a question. That was it.
All
I
right.
wasn't implying anything. I wasn't
You
making
might have
any kind of
implied
factual
something.
statements. No, no, you inferred it. That's not my fault.
All right. So, real quick. So, these are the 17 major goals. And I'll just go over them real quick. Now, the reason I'm using this Wikipedia page is because it does take actual snippets from the thing, but it has it a little bit more digestible, quick blurbs to read for me. Um, the first one is no poverty. End poverty in all its forms everywhere. Achieving this first goal would end extreme poverty globally by 2030. Let's also bear in mind what year it is. We're almost halfway through this 15-year period.
Yeah.
That's another key thing to bear in mind. Zero hunger. End hunger, achieve food security and improved nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Good health and well being. Ensure healthy lives and promote well being for all at all ages.
What does that even mean? Hang on, go back to that. What does that even mean? Just
Universal,
ensure, how do you,
universal health
right?
care.
That's yeah, and that's the thing. Oh my God, yeah, yeah. I'm reading it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's basically global universal health care. Everyone on the planet should have
tobacco
access to a
control.
doctor, blah, blah, blah.
They're coming for your cigarettes too.
Mm. Quality education. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all.
God damn it! Hang on, I have to. Uh, Ed saying, "Have you read Glenn Beck's book on this?" He wrote a fictional novel based on what life would be like under Real Agenda 21. That sucks so much. Not for him, good for him, but for me, because I've actually been toying with an idea for a book that was basically what happens after the Great Reset. So, like, you don't own anything, everything's subscription based or rental, and yeah, you don't actually like own anything. You just kind of work in order to live so that you can afford the subscription services that you have. Like that was kind of where I was going with that, and it sounds like Lynn Beck's already done that. Which, please let me know if it's like that or not. Because if not, then I can continue. But if so, then God damn it.
I see Seawall in the chat over there. Haven't called him out. Good to see you tonight, Seawall. He's got a busted pipe. Hopefully that he's
Oh shit,
temporarily
dude.
repaired.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And by the way, yeah, I hope our resident Texans are all right.
Right?
We got I know Seawall and Wyatt are in Texas, and also Company Man, who we haven't seen in quite some time. I know he's in Texas as well. Wonder how he's doing.
Right? Um, yeah, it's you know, it's they say everything's bigger in Texas. It's a shame right now. It's got to be a winter storm.
Yeah,
It
it's true.
sucks.
Yeah, hey, that's what happens when everything is bigger.
Right.
Not everything is good.
Um, goal number 5 in this is gender equality, and note that one. That one in your head because this one is important. I believe. Along with a couple of others. But this one is to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. We
Right.
have clean water and sanitation, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Affordable and clean energy, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Decent work and economic growth. To promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth. Now, here's a inclusive that sustained,
Yeah.
inclusive, full and productive employment and decent work for all. So jobs for everybody. That's a lot of fucking jobs.
Well, yeah. Who was that was talking? Bernie Sanders, I think, was talking about that. Was like guaranteed. jobs. So
Hmm.
if you couldn't find a job or you didn't want to work really, you can get a job with the government. Like the government guaranteed you a job.
Right.
Ugh, like, damn, what does it
Industry,
mean?
innovation, and infrastructure. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive, again, inclusive and sustainable
Yeah,
industrialization, and foster innovation because it's so inclusive.
everything's inclusive.
Now, here's another one:
Reducing
reducing
inequality.
inequalities. Reduce income inequality within and among countries. Within and among countries. That's something to really think about that wording. Sustainable cities and communities. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Cities and human settlements. That's globally. All
Right.
cities and all settlements. Responsible consumption and production. Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Climate action. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts by regulating emissions and promoting developments in renewable energy, like the new battery frame that was it? Who is it? Who owns Chevrolet? Who puts out Chevy vehicles now?
Uh,
GM. It's GM, isn't it?
GM? I think so.
General Motors. Yeah, they have the new battery frame. Basically, it's like the whole undercarriage of the car is just a battery unit, like all these energy cells. Their new EUV. They're starting to promote it. They're going to start rolling them out this year, and it has like 16 different models. The way configurations, so they can build any kind of vehicle on 16 different frames. But anyway, it's crazy stuff. Uh,
Mm.
Number 14 is life below water. Conserve and sustainably use the ocean, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Life on land. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems. Sustainably manage forests. Combat desertification. And halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. They're gonna take control of the environment and make
Hmm.
sure everything's good to go. Peace,
Gonna play God with the
peace,
environment.
peace,
Peace.
peace, justice, and strong institutions. Make note of this one. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels.
Yeah.
Partnership for the goal. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development. This has 19 outcome targets and 24 indicators. And this is the partnership for the goals. The main words you have to consider on this one is investing in these goals, because one of the big things is the cost associated with
Hmm.
this to try and do this, and it ranks somewhere between $2 and $3 trillion a year to
I
try
mean,
and accomplish this. Do what?
what is money? What is money anyway, right?
Right.
Like,
Now, the reason why I said note these specific ones is because there are some very clear things that have been said about this. So, gender equality. The widespread consensus is that that progress on all of those goals will be stalled if women's empowerment and gender equality are not prioritized and treated holistically. Now,
hmm.
the here's the thing. I, I mean, when we talk about that, I mean, I can't lie, John. There's an entire world out there of people that have varying stances on gender equality, right? I
Yeah.
mean, a woman's place, a man's place, whatever.
Whether either of them should have a place. Yeah.
Now, I have to ask you this, John. You're a self-proclaimed libertarian.
I am a Lolbert. Yes, I'm a Lolbertarian.
And
Indeed.
I'm gonna take you off share for a minute because I want you back on the screen because I want to see your
Oh, snap.
face.
Act like attention now.
All right. So, do you, from a fundamental standpoint, do you believe that the way women are treated in, say, what the stories we hear from, I'll use an example, whether it be Middle Eastern or even some Asian countries, of how women are basically second class or lower citizens in the
Mhm.
society. Does that go against your idea of human rights from a libertarian standpoint?
Yeah, because it's mandated from on high. It's not just like it's not like the women have a choice in acting or being treated that way.
Um,
So I would say yes.
um, yeah, and so above long-standing tradition, above you know centuries of that being the case, it's more a violation of their human rights than tradition. Correct?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about a patriarchal society that's been in place for centuries,
Hmm.
and women are second class or lower citizens and have been that way for centuries, are those people violating human rights, or are they just following tradition?
Both.
Or does it become a violation of human rights because someone outside of them tells them that's not okay?
Well, no. So it's a violation of their rights because they don't have the freedom of speech. They don't have a freedom of movement. They don't have the right to property, and they can't. A lot of the times, they can't own property. Um, they're everything's decided for them. That's not. There's no free will there. There's no autonomy there. So yes, it's absolutely a violation of their rights.
So then, if it is a violation of their rights as a libertarian and part of the global community, does that mean that we should intercede and, as a
No, but
global
not the place
community,
for
come
it.
to those communities and say, no, you can't do this. You need to change your traditions. You need to change your
I mean, you can tell
society.
them all you want. You can tell them. You can try and convince them,
Is that,
but
but
you have
isn't,
no right to like go in there and force them. At the end of a gun
okay.
to do what you say.
So
No.
so that's where the question of like the of justice in a libertarian society comes in. Okay, somebody's rights, human rights, their nap. We'll say the nap for want of a better term because they're being aggressed against in the way that they're treated in many countries, right? Would you agree?
Um.
I mean, they're beaten
Well, yeah.
beaten in
Well,
public
okay.
for
Right. I mean, that obviously is an ad violation.
right.
Obviously, those specific acts. Yeah.
But
Um.
even the mindset that that's legal, that it's okay to do this in that society, is that not a violation of NAP as well to allow that kind of aggression against women?
Yeah, I would say so. I guess
So then, where does justice come in from the standpoint of going
they.
in, interceding, and
No. It's not up to us to intercede. If they want justice for themselves, they have to get it. Like,
okay,
I mean, we can make a deal where if they want to come in, they want to have us come in and do something like that. That's, I guess, you'd have to negotiate that. I'm not sure exactly how that would look, but I wouldn't want to just say you have no choice but to change because we're going to come and point a gun at you until you change.
well, I mean,
That's not a good.
you have said in the past that if I'm not misquoting or misparaphrasing you, that a community, even a libertarian community, the community can set standards and or law that one could violate and be held accountable for, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so then if the global community is saying that those laws have been violated on the part of women, then right? I it's
I see where you're going with that. You said that the global community decided that that's not
right.
okay, so they're stopping another member. As if, yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, we are not a global community.
Well,
No, I completely reject the global community. I
we
understand that a lot of people do think of it that way, but that's not really what's going on, right? We're individual nations. I understand with the, individual nations acting as individuals, right? But they're not. They're not. They're made up of individuals. They are not individuals
right.
themselves.
Yeah, but see, that's where Agenda 2030 comes in and helps you because it allows the United Nations, it allows these things or the open door for whatever it seems
Yeah.
to be done under international law because the way
Right.
this
Which
is
is
set
bullshit.
up, this they refer to the all the countries involved, all the players involved as states under
Yeah.
international law. This is setting international law up as a global law, placing everybody
Right.
involved with it as a secondary law bringer, right?
Right. It's setting up a worldwide federal government. Yeah.
And most of this is set up to enact international law in seeking justice in these types of situations. Now that's something that I think is very important to take away from this is actually set a foundation for it up. Now I'm not saying that that's what's going on with this. It may be totally innocuous.
Just asking questions, folks.
However, I want to lay a few things out, and I want you to I'm just going to throw this out there. We're talking late '90s when this happened. In 1997, really had this push, right? Um, and it really was put into effect. 4 years later, what happens? Okay, a lot of controversy about that incident. Okay,
Wait, which incident?
that incident
Okay.
in 2001, that incident.
Oh, that incident where some people did some things. Gotcha.
Right. Where a lot of
Right.
people, something happened, and a lot of people said this is what happened. A lot of other people said this is what happened,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
even other people said, well, maybe this happened. But it was one thing that it did do. It acted as a unifier in a lot of places, specifically here in this country. It was a
Yeah.
very unifying thing, right?
It was
And with a
absolutely.
lot of global players, it was a unifying thing between us and them, and set a precedence for who, particularly, if you look closely, some countries that aren't necessarily involved in this kind of agenda, okay, who
Mhm.
are outliers, who are not part of that UN group or don't play as deeply with others, because not everybody in the UN is involved in this, or on board or signed up, I should say. But then turn around and then some of those things happen. You know, I don't think that they expected the response to be what it was. I think somebody went and jumped outside the box and went to war, and they weren't supposed to,
Hmm.
and that changed the landscape and slowed down what was happening because it created contention out of that unification moment, right? It created a new source of contention and really messed things up. So then, yes, they come together in 2015 and do this, right? Blah blah blah, and then what happens? What happens a year later? Donald Trump goes into office, and now in retrospect, what are some of the things Donald Trump wanted to do?
He wanted to,
GTFO NATO,
yeah, basically
GTFO UN,
making the U.S. its own independent nation.
right?
Bastard. How dare he?
So now, so when I was reading about this started to percolate in my head. He wanted to walk away from
Yeah.
a lot of things that this agenda is promoting and trying to put forward, to move forward. I mean, look at the fossil fuels, things that he signed or backed up that had to do with fossil fuels, reversing things like that, and And here's another one that's very key. Now, he was really big on, he loved the stock market, right? Get our GDP up. But at the same time, he also wanted, he was trying to find ways to, I don't know, get money to the top end. Like he wanted to take it easy on the rich. We can't say he didn't because he did do some tax cuts that made it a little easier to get a little more wealthy. But the problem is that he was screwing around with some of the people that are invested in this. And I'm going to share this with you. This is a list
Yeah.
that was put out by the UN in a media blog for them. And what this is a list of like 30 different corporations, companies, or that are on board from a
Hmm.
corporate standpoint. And if you'll notice, as in a lot of these, you'll see some names. Some of these you look at it as like no telling what the company is or what they do. Where they're you can see where they're located. But most of them, much like this one right here, are financial
Yeah.
institutions. A lot of them,
Right.
right? Now, not a lot based in the U.S. PIMCO. We got Nuveen. Nuveen's a financial company, investment platform, this, that, and the other. But there's one that really jumped out at me besides Bank of America and Citigroup, and that was right here. Now, this is California Public Employees Retirement System. And this is an initiative that is part of Agenda 2030. And they talk about this in the investment platforms. And it's talking about getting retirement funds invested in these initiatives through, the stock market, through industry, tech, etc. Because that's how you build a pension fund, by investing it, and they're promoting this. So now it's the only one in the United States that's on this list. But basically, the entire public sector, of workers for California, the entire state, their pension fund is tied into this, in making investments and investing in these initiatives. And they're not it either, because this is another piece that was put out, and is this about whether or not are you missing an opportunity to invest in these things, and I got these links down in both YouTube and on DLive down in the descriptions. You should be able to find them. But this one breaks down like the different industries involved with the S&P 500, the stock market, as well as other industries. For instance, if you can see it here, I'll have to blow it up a little bit. But talking about industries such as industrial and real estate, media, and technology. These are sectors and how much they're invested in right now into these different initiatives that are being pursued in the Agenda 2030. Real estate markets. So, we're talking about housing because the equality thing is another big
Hmm.
one. We're talking their goal is to get rid of poverty, extreme poverty, 100%, and cut regular poverty by 50% globally, and basically
Yeah. Wow.
balancing the playing field from a money standpoint across the world. Scary stuff.
Yeah.
Real quick, let's see. Is chat got anything going on over here? They've been saying some stuff. Let's see.
They have been saying stuff.
Uh, what is it? Have they? Did they say anything about me? Say I was pretty? I see Ron Hilton showed up. Did he say I was
Yes, he
pretty?
did.
Did he compare me to his lovely chickens? I like it when he does that. Um, he said, Raina Randy does say, he says, funny enough, that area in California that has uncontrollable fires every year happens to be the area designated by Agenda 21 to be a major manufacturing. Nice. It's almost like they need that area cleared of that pesky forest, right? Funny how little things. Ed says, have you, oh, he asked about the Glenn Beck book. Uh,
Right.
Randy,
He sent me a text,
Randy
which
says,
I got. Thanks.
you won't own anything, but you'll be happy.
Right. That's the Great Reset tag.
Saint says global anything makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
Ed says, I contend that the Twin Towers never existed and were just adult TV shows and movies in 2000 to prepare for. I, no, that's not possible. I don't think CG. I don't think CG was that good. We would have seen the little outline.
Yeah.
Helton
You've
says,
been
yes, we
able to
need to
see
get
the
out of
pixels.
all those international organizations, especially NATO and the UN. They both foster conflict, not peace.
Yeah.
Now,
Agreed.
you say that, Ron, but as it stands, they are putting it forward that they're about, getting us to a peaceful place. They literally want to balance the playing field, John,
They want
and
peace through force.
and they are willing to, I mean, they're putting out directives to the governments involved. Like anybody that's involved in this, they're putting out directives in everything from how to handle your social media, how to police things like this, how to better bring find equitable balance and justice. There and there's also part of one of the economic initiatives is to ultimately the way it reads it basically seems like it's going to a non-currency system, like that. Basically, the stepping stones to going away from currency. And the reason I say that is this: if they get enough corporations on board, and you have enough of the manufacturing and industry and mining, all of these sectors on board with this, you now have, for these initiatives, the resources, the means of production, also the means of distribution.
Mhm.
And in reality, by being a heavier player, you will gain more power from a global level. And let's be honest, power is worth more than money to most people in those positions, right? Power
Right.
is the real thing.
Right.
So,
You use money to get more power.
right,
That's the only good that money has. Yeah. That's the
right.
only use it has, I guess.
But if you're bringing all of that to the table, especially as we watch take a company like Amazon, who is starting to encapsulate all of the different sectors it needs to be its own entity, all the way down to resources. I'm sure they're getting, there's even that aspect where they're starting to procure their own resources. Um, so from that aspect, if you control all of those avenues, why do you need money if you have power to control the masses? Because the power of having the products that people need, the goods that people need to survive, food, etc. You have so much more power over them if you're giving it to them freely.
Right. Well, yeah. If you make it so that they rely on you for it, then yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. And that is the part that I could see if someone were to uh, go down the sci-fi, the fantasy avenue, that it could be very easy to see that this is the perfect doorway for corporations to gain a lot more global influence and power
Yeah.
through the control of the resources that people need, just the survival needs that people have altogether. Because it stands to reason if you're going to balance the playing field with just economically speaking amongst all countries of the world, like on a global level, like like the value of the dollar is going to be the same in Micronesia as it is here. Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't speak. What's the point to having money then, right? I think it can
Of
go away, right? Then we trade.
course.
Then that leaves us the open door to trade on labor, and that is how you get everyone a job. Because you'll
Hmm.
notice that whenever it talked about jobs for all, did it say paying jobs for all?
I mean, no, but that's typically what that means because otherwise that would be slavery.
If no,
So,
no, if you're paid in in groceries,
Right.
if you're paid in
Robert.
goods, what?
Did slaves not receive food? Did not receive water?
Whoa, 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 whoa! I'm talking about,
So that, did they not receive shelter, all free of charge? At
sir,
least with currency, right? What was exchanged?
sir.
It's
What I'm talking about
the same
is
fucking thing, man.
is is payment for labor. In the present day, I can easily, I could, I could, I could come to you and say, John, I would like you to come and mow my lawn and wash my car once a week, and I will pay you with a good meal that day, and I'll send you home with a pot of spaghetti.
Hmm.
And if you agree to that,
If I
that's
agree to
not
that, then yeah.
slavery,
If I
right?
agree to it, yeah.
Right. So there you go.
But that
Now,
doesn't mean I'm going to agree to their government job, their slave labor camp job.
well, I mean, what if you went to the grocery store and you walked up to the door and you said, I'd like to buy some groceries, and you show them your list, and they say, okay, what we need you to do is we need you to go back and stock this pallet of food, and downstack this pallet and put it down on the shelves for us, and once you get done, you can go fill your grocery list and go. Fair trade, labor for food.
Yeah.
I mean, see, so we don't need money if we balance the playing field.
I don't think that's how that's going to work. Oh my God.
Watch. Watch.
Oh no, I'm not saying they're not going to do it. I'm saying
No,
it's not going to work.
no. Well, but see, that's the thing. I have to ask you. Can we maintain a global superiority enough to look at it through that lens, knowing that we are a part of this, and that we can easily look at policies that have gone into place, that are going into place, that are have been happening and are talked about happening, that fall right in line with this. The Paris Accord was thoroughly based on this. This
Right.
is what it stemmed from,
That's
right? The
why we got
Paris
the hell out
Agreement,
of it.
which we're probably going to go back into it.
Oh yeah.
We're
Yeah,
also
yeah.
probably going to go back into the Iran nuclear deal, right?
Right.
And we're just going to ping pong on these things. But we are moving back into working these initiatives. We're going to solidify our alliances that may have been tarnished over the last 4 years with other countries that are involved in this. And then you also, I mean, think about it like this as well. Look at Europe. They seem to have been moving faster on this than we were.
Right. Well, they have the EU that can dictate these things from on high, so
Sure.
makes sense. Yeah.
But look at the
You gotta
social
look how
equity.
horrible it is over there.
Look at the social equity enforcement that goes on over there as well, right? And it's much more advanced than it is here as far as what
Well, to
they're
be fair, the
policing.
UK. To be fair, the UK is even worse, and they're not part of the EU anymore.
But
But
that
they are
doesn't.
definitely,
They're
yeah, they're
still part
definitely
of the
still going
UN,
along with this. Right. They're
right?
definitely along with this for sure. Yeah.
And I'm sure that somebody probably told them that during Brexit, and it's just like, yeah, but when it's all said and done, you're going to be under a big umbrella one of these days anyway, right? That's the goal of all of this, is to put
Hmm.
for all of us to be under a global umbrella of peace and prosperity. I mean, ultimately, it's them trying to create their version of utopia with them seated at the top, with
Right.
with all the power sitting on in a global office and dictating how we're all policed and how we're
Right.
all going to get our money. I mean, I have to ask, does this not smell of? I don't want to. I don't know. Is it more? Does it smell more socialism, or does the end result, the long term result, lean more towards communism? If some of these things, like getting rid of the financial crutch.
Yeah, I think it goes more towards socialism, but without currency. So not quite communism, uh, in that communism is supposed to be a stateless and classless society, whereas what they're putting forward is a distinct hierarchy of class. There's only two classes, of course, but they're putting the distinct classes in a hierarchy and taking complete authoritarian control, whereas that doesn't happen in actual communism. That doesn't happen. So I'd say it's more socialist than it is communist, but it's also kind of, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's basically yeah, just like a socialist takeover, but worldwide as opposed to by a nation.
Well, if money goes away, people are going to have to. You're going to have to keep people busy doing something. So you're going to have to make work available to them. You're just going to somebody's going to have to make things. I'm not now. I will say this on a side note before I comment on this other. Um, I just heard something from the Wally department last night, and they're doing another wage increase up to $13 an hour or higher, depending on the state if it has a higher minimum wage. But they're about to bounce up to $13 an hour for a starting wage. But they did make it very clear that they're still putting a lot of investing into their people, automation, and other avenues of keeping the company moving forward. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, it's but this equity thing, this equity, and this is what really stood out to me, is this paragraph right here. We reaffirm the importance of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as well as other international instruments relating to human rights and international law. We emphasize the responsibilities of all states in conformity with the Charter of the United Nations to respect, protect, and promote human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without distinction of race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, disability, or other status. So, absolutely nothing can separate one human from another. There will be no difference in anybody, and it is the responsibility of the states to protect that, to respect it and protect it and promote it. And
Right. Well, see, that's the thing is human right. Like what? I mean, I want to find out what their philosophy is on what is a human right.
well, that's easy to
And
do. That's very easy for you to do. You can do it one
okay.
of well, you've got a couple of ways. Sit down and have a long talk with Wyatt, who's currently in the middle, enjoying the promotion of human rights and fundamental freedoms for all right now.
That's
Or
true.
go and sign yourself up at college, because if you'll notice, we really started now. Okay, uh, in the 90s, I would say 90s, early 2000s, we really started having this feeling of a shift in what was being taught at colleges, and how things were getting a little more politicized and a little more left or right, whatever the case may be, and more attention started being brought to that. Now, I have to say, I went to college in the late 90s myself for a couple of years, and it I was feeling some of the feminist influence, but that was about, and a little bit of the Black Power movement, but
Mhm.
it wasn't as prevalent as it is now in colleges. And
Right.
I think that is an area that they chose, especially since this talks about education, controlling the level of education that everyone is getting. That is potentially one of those areas that someone could construe as being a tool implemented by this agenda, to promote human rights and fundamental freedoms for all. What better way to do it, right, than to educate people for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years on those things? And
Yeah.
I would be interested to see if Wyatt agrees with that. I don't know if he's still around or not, but That's that's what jumped out to me from that. Um, is how they're going to get the message across, and that's one of the big ways. But another one is through social media. They want countries to be more proactive in, I guess, policing it. I don't want to say policing or censoring, just you know be
Promoting.
aware of what's going on with social media and what's being allowed to be done. Um, so I don't know. So
Oh,
what are your thoughts? Where did your mind go when you started looking at
oh,
this?
fuck, dude, it black pilled the hell out of me.
Did it?
Brought out doomerism. Yeah, like fuck it, dude. Like it's already way too far, like down the rabbit hole. There's no turn. There's no righting the ship anymore. Like we're going down, man. That's it.
Now,
They're just too powerful. There's too many people involved. Too many organizations involved. Too much money. Too much influence. Too much power involved. It's like what are you supposed to do? Like all the people who are against it, all they do is sit around on the internet and bitch about it, myself included. Nothing. It's not gonna do anything. There's no
uh,
resisting. The best you could hope for is to slow it down a little bit. That's about it. But it's gonna happen either way.
Random Randy was explaining, talking about what I said. He's saying is everyone has a base of X, Y, and Z, and all you have to do is your job.
Right.
That's why I was getting more of that communist vibe, is because you have to keep the masses, like you're going to have things, gears still being run, right? So
Right.
you're going to have bodies until, because you can't automate everything 100%. You know,
Yeah.
so, but you know, eh, labor for your life, your livelihood. Saint
Mhm.
says I'd be okay with this, but it's government mandated. Yes, and
Yeah.
and ultimately the key thing to bear in mind, that's pivotal there. It's not your government mandating it. It's your government by mandating by proxy for
Yeah.
the international community.
Right. It's your government enforcing the international community's
I
will.
didn't want to use that word, but we can put that out
That's
there.
enforcing it. Yeah.
Ron
That
Held,
makes your government become a law enforcement agency as opposed to a government,
right?
and I don't think that's any better. Like, I don't think it's any better.
Ron Helton says, I don't recall giving my consent to the mafia government.
Yeah, agreed.
If you cast a vote, you give your consent. Whether you vote against or for what's currently happening, that is your consent for government to carry on.
It was
Um,
not informed consent.
well, yeah, it is, because you get to know
It's
what
as
the
if,
policies are that are being run on, things like that. I mean, this has not been kept
no.
private. This is available information out there.
Oh, I know.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
surprising to me how many few people, in immediate, talking about this and what its potential is, what can happen to it. I have to say, it got, they immediately, somebody spoke out against it. The John Birch Society talked about this, and they labeled them as a far right conspiracy
Naturally.
group, right? Um,
Naturally.
and so that's it's like, so of course the moment you speak out against something like this, I'm sure they might do that to you. That's why I'm saying, I'm not going to say, I'm promoting any theories. I'm just saying I can see why someone might walk down that path. I'm sure you did when you, as you read it, right? You saw
Yeah.
how many just little clinks, just little, what do they call it?
Yeah.
What do they call it whenever you stick a key? What are the teeth in the lock, right? How many, just each little cog just click click click
Yeah.
down the
Yeah.
key, right?
They're, hang on. Hang on. There's another word. Tumblers.
Tumblers, there it is.
That's what they're called. Tumblers.
Tumblers,
Yeah.
yeah.
God, it took me a second to get. Yeah. That's what they're called.
But yeah, I mean, just all these little things. And I mean, I got to thinking about it. And I'm like, this has potentially been going on for a longer time. Like, what brought this about? Um, you know, I took it all the way. I saw it going all the way back to World War One, right? We had World War One, And shortly after that, we now I'm going to be speaking from the standpoint of the patriarchal society, not my own. But women were given the vote in 1920, right?
That's
Okay,
right.
hold on.
They were
So we suddenly had
based.
we now had an imbalance in the system, the patriarchal society that was set up, right? Women got the vote. So it was like, okay, there was a scramble for a little while there, and it's like, how do we write this? But then World War II comes along, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, men got to go fight the war. We've got a world war. We can, this will distract this kind of thing. But then something else happened. Women had to step up to the plate and go to work, and
Right.
but fortunately for the patriarchy, the system that we had in place, that society, um, it didn't really catch fire for about 3 more decades, right?
Hmm.
But we got out of the war. Men came back home, and we got the idea of the nuclear family, right? We saw what could happen, and so it's like, okay, we need to make this family unit. And the father went off to work. We reestablished. We got past that silly vote thing. We got past the women had to step up and go to work thing, and we've got us back where we need to be. The right equality for the patriarchy, for the society we want. But then, then they cut in the 50s, 60s when the civil rights movement went, and then they made the mistake. They said, well, this is going to cause another civil war. That's what they knew was going to happen. There was going to be another civil war. So what did they have to do? Civil Rights Act, affirmative action, things like this, right? They had to go down that rabbit hole. But then they realized something. Going all the way back to the New Deal, going back to Social Security, if we have the give me's, it's an amazing form of control.
Yeah.
Now they're beholding. It gets votes. That beholding gets votes, no matter which side you're on. Because as long as the institution stays in place, right? The give me's are there, and this side doesn't shut it down, and that side doesn't shut it down. Oh, they might tweak it, right? A little here and there. But as long as they don't shut it down, they're still the good guys. They're still in control of the gimmies. And
Right.
that'll get votes. And then you see this emerge. And then we had, then women's lib kicked in the 70s. We had all the bra burning. We had feminism just launching, right? And it had an impact.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, so this is perfect. All these people want to be noticed. If we put laws in place, if we put gimmies in place, if we equalize the playing field, and we're the ones responsible for doing it, guess what? We're in control.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get the votes. We'll keep the power, and it won't be seen as tyranny because we've got the gimmies.
Right. Real quick, keep on preaching, man. I gotta take a piss real quick.
No,
But
don't do
you
it.
are preaching really well though. I like it.
Let's see. I'm coming to the chat though. Randy says, "I think it's socialism until people stop pretending things are great and refuse to work. Then the communism, government force, and gulag start." Well, yeah, and but this, I still go back to the idea that, when we start to tie education into it, and we have corporations involved in this as well, then we can start to see the beginning of the corporate takeover of education, or the merging of those two things, where corporations have a deep hand in building schools, running schools, basically opening the door to, for want of a better term, some sort of indentured servitude, as we go into a non-monetary system where everyone has everything that they need but somebody, we need people to work, so you're going to have to do that. So, if you're educated by this company, you'll work for this company. Go ahead and work for this company for a while, after you've gotten your education after you get out of school. There's so many hooks and ways that they will be able to keep people involved in the production of things and, doing the work. Each, what is the, I forget how the communists, each, what's the communist phrase for work and labor? The motto, the slogan, each,
Oh, each according to his need, or from no, it's from each according to his ability to each according to his need.
from each according to his ability to
Yeah,
each according to his need. Exactly.
right.
But yeah, so that's again, if you tie corporations into education, that is the path. That is a path we're going to go down, and that would be the transition from what you were saying, Randy, from socialism into something more like communism. Saint says this all comes down to you'll own nothing and you'll like it, and that is true. You'll have stuff, but I mean you won't have anything better than anybody else. I mean everybody
And
will have
also,
a device, and you
it'll
know.
be subscription or rental based. That's what I'm getting. As you can see it
Well,
go.
well, if there's no
Everything's
money, what
subscription
would you be
based.
paying with?
Your labor,
No.
like you said,
What?
your labor.
No, the media is going to be controlled, John. Look at it now.
Yeah, I know it's gonna be
I
controlled,
mean,
obviously.
socially and
I'm not talking about
socially
just media.
approved.
I'm not talking about just media though. But yes, of course, it'd be socially approved media. Yeah, but
But I'm
you'll
talking about
get it.
movies and TV too.
Yeah, no, I know. Doesn't mean I'm not talking about like streaming services necessarily. Even though yes, obviously that. But like the big thing with commies is always about the difference between private and personal property.
Oh,
And like you can't own a business, but at least you get to own your toothbrush.
right,
Well, this time you won't even get to own your toothbrush. It'll be like I guess you would. It'd be like was it the Dollar Shave Club, right?
right.
Where they send you new razors all the time.
Gotcha.
It's like
Right,
that. Once a month you get a new toothbrush.
right.
As long as you've been working. Otherwise you don't. It's not,
Um,
yeah, everything's just subscription based, man. That'll be what it is.
Randy
You
says
wait.
the internet is a human right. And it says, Saint, I get exactly what that's supposed to mean. They paint the idea of everyone having what they want as long as they do their part. In theory, it's not even a bad idea. But in practice, it's BS. That's what I tell
Hmm.
people. Agenda 21 is not a super secret conspiracy plan. It's out in the open and their direct intent. And
Right.
that's what's amazing to me is how it's not more talked about. And I begin to, I don't know. I mean, I see how I would see why it would be kept out of the mainstream media. You really see more about policy that's enacted or fought against. You don't
Hmm.
really see that anything. Okay, well, this is the reason why, right?
Right.
Um, you never see any very many correlations with this, so it's kept very quiet unless
Mhm.
they want to make the argument that not as much happens here because we're not an underprivileged country that needs help and needs people,
Right.
the UN stepping in, this, that, and the other thing. But I would argue, what about the policies that are being made here that that would seem to be bringing us down that path to a more equitable global picture? But who am I? Who am I to say? Uh, Helton says the evil ones have a code that says they must tell you what they are going to do to you. It's up to us to say no and stop them.
See that whole deal Van Helden. I was waiting for us to get to this one. Like the evil ones have a code that says they must tell you what they're going to do to you. I mean, the reason they tell you is not because there's some kind of code or anything. It's because they legitimately don't think that they're evil, and they legitimately don't think that the things that they want to do are evil. So why wouldn't you tell someone what you're doing if it's a good thing to do, right? I mean, that's what it seems like to me, at least.
And that's why I say, I mean, they do press release, like the companies that I was showing you. Well, that's a
Mhm.
press release. The one that I was showing you that has the breakdowns of the business sectors that are involved in investing. That was an
Yeah,
article they put out, to drum up more investment. I mean, they're putting it out there.
right. Because
It's
they legitimately think it's the right thing to do, that it's a good thing to do, that it's going to be a moral good. Despite how many eggs you got to break, this omelet is going to be the best omelet ever.
but it
We're going to have
does.
to leave a litter, just tons of broken eggshells littered everywhere.
I mean,
But it will be the best omelet ever, I swear.
it does make
Also, see
you.
you, Saint.
Oh yeah, we
Sorry,
will
Saint's
definitely
leaving.
see you
Yeah.
same maybe even in the chat. But I mean, again, I'm not trying to promote any kind of conspiracy theory, but I could see why someone could look at the past year at the 5 point mark of this 15-year plan and see that a you know investments are not where they need to be. The amount of money that they need to keep this keep fueling this is not where it needs to be. They're not as far along as they want to be in most of these initiatives. And
Mhm.
if only there were some globally impactful unifying thing to happen that
Yeah, crazy,
that
right?
that would severely impact the economy, both on a personal level, a local level, and at a country level and a global level, to where more governments needed to aid their citizenry, hand out to them ways to
Where
survive and
in
get
order
by,
to right, in order to force the citizenry to be reliant on them, it seems.
or just show them how simple it is to
Hmm.
be a little bit reliant.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just saying. I could imagine how someone would go down that path after reading this, based on all the misinformation that's constantly out there from all the different angles. To sit and say, well, nobody's told me for sure how all of this happened. I
Right.
don't have anything concrete to know why this happened. I don't have any concrete evidence about how this happened, or why this happened, or why we did this, or why we did that. So it would be easy to go down that path to think that, you know, there could be some evil cabal out there orchestrating global events that put
Right.
this people in a more comfortable position to further this agenda.
Hmm. It's
Um,
just the thing is, I don't think it's necessarily. I don't think it's an evil like the way that you
well,
would.
that's what I
I
was.
know. Yeah, yeah. I was saying like the way that you might. Not you personally, but a person might envision an evil cabal of like basically like Legion of Doom. All sitting around a table and laughing maniacally to try and I don't think it's that. I think it's more of just these people all have a similar ideology and a similar outlook on life and are trying to do everything that they can to push that through onto everyone else. Again, I think that they believe that they're completely good and moral and what they're doing is the right thing to do. I don't agree with that, but I think that that's what they think. So I don't think it's like some kind of evil conspiracy to end, you know, freedom on Earth. I think that's just the logical consequence that's going to happen because of these actions, and they're not really all that worried about it, But I
But
think that they do
but
think
this
it's the
is
right thing to do.
this is all about freedom, the freedom to be equal.
That's right.
Um,
Oh man, get the freedom to do whatever we want.
now
Whatever we want, you can do it.
I'm just going to put this out there. Now, like if I were going to write a book, a fantasy book, I
Right.
might write it about a bunch of guys who got together, say 5,000 plus years ago, and wrote this book themselves that seemed to get everybody on board with one idea of an authority figure that controlled their lives and that they needed to live to those expectations. And then, those guys who wrote that book were like, hey, look at this, we've got control of the masses, but then flash forward 5,000 plus years, and the effects of that are starting to wear off because a lot more people are waking up or are, whatever, just not buying into it anymore. And you gotta reverse. You gotta think of a new book to write that's going to get everybody on board. That's going to get that control back. That would be a good
Certainly
book.
one way
Would that be a good story to write?
would be a good book, I suppose. I'd read it, at least.
So I don't know. I don't. I grew up as a kid. I grew up in the Cold War. That was a big part of my younger life. And one of the things that was constantly thrown around was this idea of world peace and a utopia, right?
Right.
Because when you're staring down the silo of a nuclear missile, you know, your mind goes to utopia and world peace, right?
Sure.
And that was a great idea, a great thought, but at what cost is the question I ask now, because that is what this describes. This describes creating a utopia on Earth.
Right.
But it's going to require police action. I mean, that's
And it require force in order to.
Well,
Yeah.
but I will ask you this, John. Will it require force? It won't require force for everybody, will it? It'll only require force for those who don't take
We don't
the
comply.
pill.
Well, yeah, of course, but it's at least the threat of force to be used on you if you don't comply, basically. So most people will, obviously, in order to not have that force enacted on them.
So, but what they're envisioning this doing, that's not a bad thing, is it? A peaceful world where everyone
Right.
can just live their life and not have to struggle?
The ends absolutely always justify the means, of course, every single time.
I, I you know, that's, it's like what they're proposing is not a bad thing, right? It's not.
Not a bad idea.
It's just
Nice notion.
everybody gets along with everybody, right? Now,
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
Nice.
That doesn't take into account you've got to change basic human nature, right?
Right, that's all you have to do. Is just completely change what a human is. And that's it. That's all you gotta do. Also, Henry showed up. He said that's not freedom. And I don't know what part exactly you're talking about, but that's probably true.
All of it
I
it's
probably agree with that.
right. If this is being built on a foundation of backed by international law and justice, that doesn't sound like a freedom to me. That doesn't
Right.
sound like a free and equitable place, because to accomplish this, everything that we hold true here in this country, from the standpoint of our Bill of Rights, our Constitution, all of those things are going to be demolished with this. Your freedom of speech, your freedom of press, your right to bear arms, your right to privacy, because in an effort to make everyone equitable, we must know everything about everyone, be in control of what they're going to say, or punish them if they say something outside the lines, and we need to ensure the safety and protection of everyone as well. I mean, but then I ask, do we not have either half of our government that would stand up against something like this? And we don't, do we?
Yeah.
I would
I
be
like
willing
what,
to. I would be willing to say Republicans might be on the side of taking their time, consolidating power at a slower rate to where, because we only come in 36 out of all the countries. We're number 36 as far as our financial and our obligatory responses to these
Yeah.
initiatives. We come
Well,
in
that's
at
what they say.
36.
That's what they say about conservatives, right? They're progressives going the speed limit. It's the
Um,
same thing.
so so
We're gonna get there to the same place. Just might not be as quickly.
gotcha. So then was Donald Trump, was he trying to protect America from that by trying to distance us from these things, or was he still selfishly motivated, basically, to for him to be in charge of the most independent and, for want of a better term, isolated country in the world?
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think it has to be mutually exclusive. I think both of those can be true.
I guess, um, but I don't think he didn't have what it takes to stand up to it. If
Well,
that's the case,
he got fucking
what
shit
we
canned, didn't
don't know
he?
what happened.
Oh,
He
come
just
on.
he
Yeah,
lost an
we don't.
election,
You're right.
John.
You're right. He
He
lost the
simply,
most secure
John.
and most fair and
Exactly.
safest election in human history. Not only that, but he lost to the most popular president in human history. So popular, in fact, that they had to barricade DC and have barricade the Capitol building and have what is it, 5,000 National Guards people there for like a long time. That's obviously that is how someone acts when they're the most popular president to ever exist. I mean, clearly.
Um, so now, here's one more little tidbit to take away from this. One of part of that whole justice part that they were talking about, they refer to terrorists, right?
Mhm.
They talk about international law handling terrorists, etc.
Oh yeah.
Um, and they just released a report from, who was it? Was it the FBI? I have to double check. Department of Justice. Somebody just released a report that the majority of violent uh, domestic terrorism that happened last year was perpetrated by far right extremists.
Naturally, of course, always.
Which, if we are going to go by international law, the way this is all laid out, that means that it is now enforceable at a international level to come in and deal with terrorists on our soil.
Hmm. Hmm.
Think about it, John.
No, I know. It's not good. I know.
That's a moment in time where you're like, wait a minute. So, um, I know I've been ranting about this. It really, I'm sorry. It got my mind going, and obviously
Yeah.
it didn't help your mind at all either.
Right,
As you
certainly
delve into,
not. Yeah.
right, as you delve into it. But
Yeah.
folks, if you really haven't looked into this, check out those links that are down there. Really look into it and understand, because I will say that if you want to have some idea, if you really want to get clarity on everything that is now happening and is happening moving forward, even some of the, just honestly, some of the things in this new stimulus package and how it is impacted by this Agenda 2030. Um, I, I, I can't see how you wouldn't. And I know it's long. It's a lot of stuff to read, but there are some nuggets in there that are just where the wording is just right to leave some major open doors to who can police and at what level and where, when, and how. It's kind of disturbing, But then again, we're a superpower. We're America. You know, we shouldn't have to be worried about that. We have the ability to change our leadership, right, John? We have the ability to
Yeah, of course.
our voice can change what's happening in these things, right? We can do that.
Yeah, but speaking of, I decided after the last election, completely like separate from what the events of the last election, decided all on my own for no particular reason, that you're never going to catch me voting again. It's never going to happen again. I'm not doing it.
You're not going to vote anymore? Not
No,
even for a libertarian candidate? Wow.
I'm not doing it.
That's a
No.
that's a bold statement. Sir, it's your civil
Yeah.
duty.
Civil duty, these nuts.
Um, hey, look, you know, I I'm not gonna say, you know, I can't say that all of this is bad. I don't know. All I'm saying is there I can see how somebody might be concerned about these things. And that's why I've been trying to
Mhm.
play the role of someone who, you know, could possibly go down a path of concern for these kind of things. The only thing I
Right.
can suggest to you is that you take a look at those links, read into it a little deeper, and form your own opinions, and then decide what you're actually going to do over the next 9 years, because there'll be two more elections in that time. There's going to be, I am willing to bet, maybe forecast, that we're going to see some more strife. I mean, it is kind of interesting that this is, you know, at the 5 year mark as well, you know, going into the 6th year, we're going to finally find out about UFOs. Imagine what kind of globally unifying of, you know,
Yeah.
revelations can come from that.
Yeah.
Do
That's
you,
for sure.
I mean, there are suddenly just very, very dramatic things happening.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that dramatic though. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be full on. Okay, by the way, guys, aliens,
Well, now
like, and bring them out and be like, yo, this is an
there
alien.
now see, there's another
Like,
rabbit hole that some people have gone down, and again, not promoting it, I'm talking about it. There are those who believe that this is all coordinated to
right.
create a unifying event of
Yeah.
impending doom.
But I still think that would be too much, like all at once.
Why?
For like to be like, hey, by the way, guys, aliens.
Everybody's at
Like
home, they can watch they can watch
that's
it.
what I'm saying, but I think that would drive people. I don't know. I don't know if our minds are ready for that sort of thing.
Hold
I don't
on.
know.
But see, think about it like this. If you if if you hit somebody over the head a couple of times, good and hard, and jar them,
Yeah,
well, then you can rattle and you can get them. You know, it's like it'll be like the little thing from Men in Black, the neuralizer. Boop!
yeah,
And then you can reestablish their reality when you put them at this point of extreme fear, extreme unsurety, extreme reliance on external sources. When you have them up against the rope, boom, 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 and then somebody comes in, pushes you out of the way with a pacifier and a cool towel for your forehead, you'll listen and you'll
yeah.
hear what they have to say, and you'll be like, okay, you're going to fix all this. I'll sit at home and I will just tell me what to do so that I'm safe.
Right. That's true.
Doesn't it feel like we've been in a fucking prize fight? Bam! Bam!
Yeah, I
BLM.
suppose it does.
Bam!
Yeah.
Election. Bam! I mean, come on. How many more punches? We're punch drunk.
Yeah.
What can you get away with when the entire country is punch drunk? The entire world, you know.
Yeah.
I. But again, this is how someone could think. Not my
Someone
thoughts.
could possibly.
Not my
Yeah,
thoughts.
possibly that could happen.
I'm just speculating on how people could see this. Me, I'm like, what? You know, I just smoke my cigarettes and, you know, run off at the mouth on some show with no personal opinions of my own. You get to form your own opinion. So, If you're able to do that, please do. I just hope it doesn't hurt you. But yeah, it is good to see Henry in here tonight. I also think I see Sergeant Peterson has shown up. A little bit of
Yes.
chitty chat too. I got a little behind on the chat. Did I miss too much?
Yeah, kind
Oh, and
of.
I see Basic in there as well. Hey, Basic, good to see
What's
you.
up,
Good to see
guys?
you.
We got
How you
lots of
doing?
people in here. Yeah.
So, John, do you want? I'm gonna say we're getting close to wrapping it up. So, if you want, why don't we do a
Yeah,
big
let me
old
get.
whole? Let's consider a chest. You were going to show your boobs
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something?
So, guys, last chance. If you want to donate over on D Live, I will be opening the chest after my description spiel. So, if you want to donate and get part of
Well,
that chest that's coming up,
I
then go ahead and do it now.
I
And
was going to
then,
buy you a little bit of time going through the last
yeah,
of the chat if you want.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, if you want to do it now. You got a few minutes, but
But
yeah, I will be opening the chest at the end.
Yeah, so let's see. Last I see, Ron Helton was there. Lunatics, the margin between genius and madman is razor thin. Of course, that's what I've said about John forever.
Wait, what was it?
He was talking about uh, the evil one. They're lunatics.
Oh, right, right, right.
Sergeant Peterson. Yeah, he says in order to get all the humanity to agree, a whole lot of people need to die first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan.
Yeah, and it could be natural causes. It could be any
Could
number
be
of things.
it could be natural. It could be
Yeah, naturally deadly.
spreads
It could be
that
naturally
spreads.
deadly.
Yeah, it could be something that spreads from person to person, um, various means, and that can be deadly. Yes.
Henry says, "I don't need to read anything. People who know where we're going." Uh, so lucky for them, they're Randy says, like Sergeant Peterson, lucky for them, their plan only calls for 500 million people in the world.
Yeah.
The events of the last election were meant to show you that no matter how in your face the deception is, there's
Mhm.
nothing any of us can do about it.
Yep.
Uh, Sergeant Peterson says Georgia Guidestones. What is that?
Yeah, that is really creepy. If you're not okay, take what you've been looking at for Agenda 21, and then go look at the Georgia Guidestones
Okay,
afterwards.
okay, I'll do that. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
Or will it? Uh, chicken and chorizo stir fry is amazing. That's a good. That's a little
that's an
random,
excellent
Ed.
it's an excellent comment, and I'm glad you made it because it is also very true.
Uh, Randy says I predict fake imminent threat of alien attack by 2030. Darn it, you guys keep saying it before me. See, I'm not the only one. Yes. Who might have had that thought that someone else might have had. Um, Randy Helton says elections are spitting in the eye of honest people. Yes, they currently are. They have been for a long time, actually. They're already pumping the alien stuff in the science mags. Yes, movies like Pacific Rim are out there. Yeah, I mean
Well,
they're
so they've been
really
doing that. They've been doing that since the 50s. Like that's really when sci-fi became big,
sure,
in the 1950s. So I don't know that you can really say that that's something new.
but they're well. This latest trend of prepping us with them actually starting to give out information to cushion the blow, as it were. That's where I see a lot of
Yeah,
it is, because they're just suddenly being really open and honest about it, and agreeing that maybe they don't know. And yeah, there's, it's kind of shady from where their stance has always been. Suddenly the government is open and honest and transparent. When did that start?
yeah, I know. I
Uh,
mean, it's a FOIP thing, though, isn't it?
a what?
Pretty sure. FOIP, Freedom
Uh,
of Information Act,
well,
or
some of it is, yeah.
thing.
Some of it
FOIP,
has been. But they've offered some out as well on their own,
right?
right? And not shut down military talking about it in the recent past. Um, Randy says articles about tons of habitable planets in other galaxies. That's a big one. Neil deGrasse Tyson said he thought coronades would have brought us together like the threat of an alien invasion. Uh-huh.
Ah,
The Navy officially
jokes on
released.
him.
He says the Navy officially released that footage of the UFO they couldn't chase down in a fighter jet. They released that, and
Yeah,
that's key. They're releasing footage of current events,
but no one's
current
really paying
UFO
attention.
events. Well,
No one's really paying attention to that.
because the groundwork for for aliens has been laid in from all the other stuff, right? From the
Right.
movies and television and all the documentaries and everything. So they can be telling us now, and people will be like, "Wait, they were telling us that," and then all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, now we're telling you this."
Right.
you know, Sergeant Peterson says he has 0 lemons now, and I'm
Yeah,
sorry for.
he gave us one lemon.
Well, we will use
I
it
guess
to
that's
make
how much he
lemonade.
had. We will do that for sure. Thank you,
He says he came for the
especially for your
lemons.
lesson.
He came for the lemons. Yeah, and let's see.
Random Randy also donated 9 lemons to us.
Nice.
Thank you. That's 10 lemons so far. Whole
Nephilim.
ice cream.
See Nephilim in the house. He says, "I don't know about you guys, but I plan on being one of the winners in the George
That's a
Guides
good.
competition."
That's a good way of looking at it. But you don't have the right politics, so I doubt you're going to make the cut.
Yeah, it says the Pacific Rim reference because of it refers to the world coming together and the climate change brought about the invasion. Yeah, it's yeah
Oh,
they
nice.
they've got plenty of narratives to choose from for an alien invasion. So maybe they'll go with
Yeah,
Mars attacks.
yeah. Well, they seem to be using that strategy of, despite the city burning behind them, the big translation device being like, "We come in peace, we mean you no harm." Meanwhile, the whole city's burning down.
So
So they're
yeah, I
going with
mean,
that strategy.
so and so the question, it's like we still keep having these these things like that are potentially unifying events. This is what I'm most worried about are how many more unifying events might naturally
Right,
occur, right? How these naturally occurring unifying events
right.
happening. You know, Mother
These events will
Nature is
keep
kind of
happening until you
crazy,
unify.
right?
Like, unify, damn you.
Damn it, unify. But anyway, all right, John, I'll turn it over to you. You have some fun for a while. If you want to talk about where we're going to be, where they can find us. Again, remember links to the stuff we talked about tonight in the down in the descriptions. Um,
Yes.
but please, sir.
Yes. So, firstly, thank you guys to everyone who donated over on DLive. That's awesome. I think we're gonna be, yeah, I don't know. I guess we're gonna continue using DLive until we get kicked off of it, right?
Well, yeah, as long as there's no
Yeah,
problem with being on D Live doing our show and they don't say anything about our settings, yeah, we're going to keep going on D Live.
badass. So, uh, follow us on all our platforms. Everything's in the description. If you're on YouTube, uh, both DLive and Trovo are in the description. Links to those. So make sure you follow us on those. Who knows how long we'll be on YouTube? We've got our Twitter, which is at GenGapP. We got our Discord server, which is awesome and fun. And if we ever need, to ditch one of the platforms or multiple platforms, you'll be able to find us there, and we can redirect you. You also get your notifications there first, not first, but you'll get your notifications there regardless of YouTube and their fuckery. And of course, awesome conversation. Same with Gilded. We have a Gilded as well. Freedom Scoop has a Gilded. So you can join us over there, and the same kind of deal, minus the notifications. Is I'm not over on Gilded yet, really.
No, I
And
got to
then we
do
got a
some work
subscribe.
over there.
Yeah, we got Subscribe Star too, though. So if you like us and you want to give us more than just lemons, you want to give us some real cold hard digital cash, you can do so there. And we also offer perks. We're not just trying to get your money for nothing. Know your chicks for free. So go check those perks out, and yeah, we'll see you over there.
Random Randy reminded us about spam, and yes, next
Oh
we're going to attempt to
yes,
do that next for one of our shows next month. And he's got a great
yes.
idea. I think I
Dude,
will. I think one of the dishes should be green eggs and spam.
that's how you. Okay, yeah.
Blue food coloring.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's very simple.
Okay. Sure.
So green eggs and spam. Now you can't make the spam green because I still
Right.
haven't figured out something you can mix with pink to get green. You just can't
Right.
do it. You wind up with brown. And I'm already going to be browning it, right? So. All right, we're going to get the hell out of here. Thank you so very much for listening to me rant and us talking about this. It's it's a wake up call. It's one of those opportunities where it's like, okay, maybe we need to start trying to get this a little more forefront in our minds, because this is something that seems to be an aggressive path that they're on. That we're on because we're a part of this. But I do begin to question the impact that it will have on our actual freedoms from the standpoint of how the Constitution lays them out for us. That's the biggest worry I have. Because I don't necessarily want the international police coming in.
Right. All right. Everyone over on D Live, I am opening the chest now. Give it 30 seconds.
So, in that 30 seconds, I'm going to attempt to say this. We will be back again on Monday night, where we will be doing a regular episode of Fill in the Gap, trying to bring a little humor to your Monday. Start your week off. We will also be here on that'll be at 9:30 p.m. We'll also be back on Wednesday at 9:30 for our regular episode of Shooting the Shit. And then, of course, we'll be back again a week from tonight on Friday for our standard episode at 8:30 p.m. All of those times are the Eastern time zone, the one and only true time zone, not to be confused with the rest of you, the posers that you are. And you know who you are. Outside of that, John, how did I do on time?
You went a few seconds over.
Damn you,
like 4
John.
or 5 seconds.
Damn.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't do it. You did it.
All right, but the chest popped. Everybody got a little jingle in their pocket.
That's right.
A little lemon in their pocket, going squeezy, squeezy, squeeze. Sergeant Peterson, I want some blue helmets, definitely. What are blue helmets? Do I know what blue helmets are?
I'm not familiar. I'm not getting the reference.
Well, you're supposed to.
I'm probably too stupid.
John. You're supposed
to. I know. I'm too stupid.
All right, well, we're going to get the hell out of here, folks. Again, thank you all for showing up. Thank you for all your support. Hit the like button if you haven't done it on your way out. Outside of that, keep yourself safe. Those of you out in Texas, please bundle up, stay warm, protect yourselves. All the rest of you that are in cold climates, do the same thing, because it's not just Texas, it's getting hard hit with the cold. Sorry to say, our cold is hitting tonight. We might get down to 50 degrees. So we've got nothing to laugh about here, as far as it's sorry to say you guys are suffering through it, and I feel for you. So just be safe and be careful out there, and we'll talk to you again come Monday. Outside of that, peace out, folks.
Yep. See you guys.
The war begins.